Hello all, my name is Krish Naik and welcome to my YouTube channel. So guys, in this particular video, we are going to discuss about all the important skill sets that you may specifically require in order to become a generative AI engineer. The reason why I'm making this specific video right now, most of my students who have already transitioned into the data science field, who are working as a data scientist, they're getting a lot of work to work in the field of generative AI, specifically with respect to solving various use cases with the help of large language models and large image models. So if you are really interested in understanding about generative AI work and you really want to work in this field, then this video will definitely be for you. And the most important thing of this specific video will be that I will be providing you all the necessary materials and all the entire playlist where I've created a lot of videos. And probably in the upcoming one or couple of months, you'll be seeing a lot of end-to-end projects that will be coming up. I will try to use a lot of tools specifically that you actually require to solve these business use cases, considering both open source LLM models and paid LLM models. And I'm already doing that. Anyhow, in the description link, I'll be providing you with all the materials and all the playlist link. Now, let me quickly go ahead and start explaining about generative AI engineering and what are the skill sets that are basically required. Whenever I talk about generative AI engineering, right? So I really want to talk about two important things. One is the prerequisites, okay? Like if you really want to enter into this field, what are the prerequisites? The second thing is that what are the important skill sets, okay? So this entire video, I will be talking about this two important thing. With respect to prerequisite, let me just explain about the prerequisite in some time, okay? So I will take this up in some time. But before this, let me talk with respect to skill sets, okay? Now, and here I'm just going to focus on generative AI. As I said, prerequisite, what are the necessary things that you really need to know so that in the interviews, whatever things are basically asked for machine learning, deep learning, NLP, that will be covered entirely in this prerequisite itself. When I talk about skill sets, this is specifically related to generative AI, okay? Generative AI. So with respect to skill sets, if I consider this, okay? Understand one thing, right? What exactly generative AI is? Generative AI basically means here you are trying to work with those kind of models, right? And specifically when I talk with respect to generative AI, there are two types of models that you will probably see, right? Right now it is three. One is LLM model, large language model. The second one is large image model. And the third one is something called as multimodal. Okay, multimodal. If I probably see with respect to categorization, these are the three important types with respect to generative AI models. Okay, so one is LLM, large language model, large image model, and multimodal. Let me talk about the differences between them. Large language model, basically you specifically work with use cases that are related to text. And these models are trained with huge amount of data. Okay, they're usually trained with huge amount of data. Nowadays, there is a fierce competition between these big giants who are able to create good large language models or large image models with the better accuracy. So if you probably see OpenAI, if you probably see Google, if you probably see Microsoft, if you probably see Meta, all these companies are in a fierce competition to probably make the best LLM models or LIM models, right? And over there, they will be using specific data sets. At the end of the day, everybody is in competition because once they achieve that accuracy, and all the people will try to use those specific models to solve the business use cases. If I talk about multimodal, it is a combination of text and image. So that basically means that model will be able to solve use cases that involves both text and images. Like example, if I probably consider Google Gemini Pro, and right now it is equivalent to ChatGPT 4. Okay. Now, our main aim is that in generative AI, main aim of the model is to generate new content, right? Based on any context, it will be able to generate new content. So this is the main aim with respect to generative AI itself. Now, with respect to skill sets, now this is what already have been probably researching from 6 to 7 months. I've been asking people who are specifically working in this specific field, what kind of use cases they are solving, how they are solving, everything as such. So with respect to skill sets, if I consider, right, and right now, this entire generative AI is basically divided into two important things, okay? One is open source. One is paid LLM models, specifically. If I LLM, or I can basically say paid models. Okay. The reason why I'm writing this, because I'm going to categorize based on these two important information, open source and paid models. Do you need to learn both of them? Yes, the answer is very simple. Yes, you really need to have the complete idea. I'll tell you right now, the generative AI field is somewhat like how in 2018 machine learning was, right? People were exploring, people were getting to understand new things, right? How they can actually implement things, how can they can actually use this models to do the deployment or solve complex problems, how we can actually make it scalable, all those things. And right now platforms are also coming. So still, companies are using it. They're seeing that how we can actually solve the specific use cases. So the main thing that I really want to talk about is that practice as much as you can. Try to solve many use cases as you can. Right? Tomorrow, if you're specifically working in a company, if any use cases come, you really need to try each and everything. Open source, paid, everything. Right? Then you need to understand that what are the downfalls, what are the disadvantages, what are probably with respect to open source and paid models, which is the best thing to probably go ahead with, right? And automatically you'll be able to understand, okay, this is the problem that our company is facing. This is what is the perfect way to probably go ahead with. So that is the reason I've divided this into two things. One is open source, LLM models or LIM models, paid models, okay? And if I talk about open source, specifically, you'll be hearing some amazing companies like Meta, right? They have actually come up with this Llama 2, right? If I probably come up with this Llama 2 model right now, its accuracy is good. In some days, probably Llama 3 will also come, right? Not only Llama 2, like let's say consider paid one, right? If I probably consider with respect to paid one, then you have OpenAI, you have Cloudy, right? Cloudy 2, you have one more model is the A21 lab, right? Sorry, I think it is AI21 lab, right? They are also providing a lot of functionalities. If I probably consider one more, Mistral, right? Mistral is also given as an open source also, and there is also a paid version of it. Okay, I guess both the combination is there. Recently, I've started exploring Mistral also. There is more open source models like Falcon, right? Now, this all LLM models. If I probably consider LLM or LIM models, whatever things is there, or here one more example is Google Gemini Pro, right? Google Gemini Pro, right? Right now, Google Gemini Pro is also given. I'll not say it is an open source, it is also a paid API right now, but it is also given in the free version. So with respect to Google Gemini Pro, here you'll be able to see that you'll be able to use this and all, right? Now, what is the differences between this open source and paid models? Right now, you can use this entire open source models to solve various business use cases. Obviously, you can use this to solve business use cases. You can also use this paid models to solve business use cases. Understand this thing, right? But when we think in terms of deployment, right? We think about scalability, right? So obviously we really need to look at the cloud part when we are specifically using this open source model itself. Obviously the accuracy is high over here, accuracy is less. That is another thing. But when we say that we are taking this into the production level, at that point of time, you'll be seeing that we really need to be dependent on the cloud, right? So one thing that matters is with respect to the cloud. And this is also one of the reason what business basically thinks whether we should probably go with open source and paid one. Do we need to handle the cloud, right? Let's say I have a product. I want to use any of this model's functionalities, right? If I probably go with open source, I may have to use this. I need to fine tune our data set and then probably do the deployment, right? So the cloud is one of the important factors. In the case of paid models, they have their own specific cloud, right? Personal cloud, let's say Cloudy 2 has some specific cloud. OpenAI has their own APIs itself. Everything is basically provided with respect to this, where you can use these APIs along with to solve any business use cases. Now, this is one way. Now, there is also another way. We can also be dependent on AWS or other cloud platform like Azure. Let's say in AWS, we have something called as, there is a service which is called as AWS Bedrock. Now, AWS Bedrock, I'll soon make a tutorial, a detailed tutorial. I've already started working on this and it's superb, guys. It's superb, right? AWS Bedrock, what it does, I'll talk about it, okay? Now, AWS Bedrock, this is a service. What it does is that it has almost each and every LLM model, stable diffusion model, LIM model. So one example is also stable diffusion, right? Stable diffusion. So what it does is that this is basically specifically used for image for if any use cases that are related to image, stable diffusion. Okay. Now, the best thing about AWS Bedrock is that it has all the functionalities with respect to this open source or paid models. It has each and everything, right? I think it does not have OpenAI. Other than that, I think it has almost everything, right? And this actually provides APIs itself, where you can solve your business use cases, you can perform fine tuning, right? You can perform fine tuning, you can do each and everything, right? Probably use this specific APIs directly into the cloud. So you don't have to worry about the cloud part in this, right? Here also you don't have to worry about the cloud part, but right now, let's say if you want to use OpenAI, then you have a different API. If you want to use cloud too, then you have to have a different API, right? But what AWS Bedrock has basically done is that it has combined each and everything that is probably available over here, right? So when it is combining each and everything over here in the form of APIs, that basically means we can use this APIs directly over here and fine tune, do whatever tasks we specifically require. There, again, when I probably show you the detailed tutorial regarding AWS Bedrock, I'll show you how you can probably get the API details, how you have to probably give the prompt and all, what format it is basically required, everything will be understood. Now, what is super important to understand, you really need to have an idea how to use this both open source and paid models, right? One very important way, like one way is that you can go ahead with AWS Bedrock, but my suggestion would be that try to explore different ways. One way is specifically by using Hugging Face. Now, using Hugging Face, you can call all these open source models or paid models however you want. Open source models, right? Or other models, except OpenAI. You cannot call OpenAI because OpenAI has a different way of altogether doing things. But when I probably talk about Cloud 2, Mistral, right? Even Google Gemini Pro, you cannot, right? If you want to probably call Llama 2, it has almost each and every functionality. And what it does is that it gives you a set of libraries where you can specifically apply embeddings also. You can probably use these all models to probably solve any business use cases. Not only that, it also provides you cloud platform. It also provides you space with respect to cloud where you can also fine tune it. And here you probably have to go pay as you go, right? Pay as you go. So the more you use the services, that much you basically need to pay. Just calling this particular thing models, it is, I think, almost similar like how we do with respect to open source model. So in short, the skill sets that you really need to focus is open source to pay models, paid models. You should know about some of the information with respect to AWS cloud platform, right? Azure, when I say probably Azure, over here you should know that how you can use this AI services in Azure itself, right? In Azure, I think they have functionalities that are related to OpenAI and all. Okay, since it is already Microsoft and OpenAI are almost, right? Because Microsoft is an investor in OpenAI itself, right? Now, very important thing that I've actually mentioned over here. Along with this, I will talk about frameworks. Now, which frameworks you really need to be good at, right? Till now, guys, one is OpenAI framework. You definitely need to know how you can specifically use OpenAI. Now, the main thing about the framework is, which I really want to mention, is about LangChain and LlamaIndex, right? LlamaIndex. These two framework you really need to be good at. Because this two framework, how it is basically created, if you really want to develop a RAG application, I would suggest always go with LlamaIndex. If you want to create a generic application and you want to solve some problem statement, you can use LangChain framework. Now, what is so amazing thing about this particular framework? Because it provides you a lot of agent tools to perform different functionalities, from data ingestion to data transformation, each and everything this specific libraries provides. So because of this libraries, you'll be able to implement function in a very much easy way. And with LangChain and LlamaIndex, you can call both paid and open source LLM models. That is the best thing. When I say LLM models, please also consider LLM models or any other models that I'm basically talking about, right? Both these frameworks provide you options to specifically call this particular models itself. So this is also really good. You should definitely use LangChain and LlamaIndex. One more is nothing but Chainlit. You should also start exploring Chainlit because this is also a framework that is there. Now, for practice sake, you can use framework like Streamlit for the front end, right? For the front end, because this will actually help you to create the UI quickly and practice with respect to this. So all these things you specifically need to learn with respect to the skill sets. Now, one very important thing. Along with this, you also need to have knowledge with respect to vector databases. There are a lot of different vector databases like ChromaDB, right? There is Cassandra, You can specifically use Cassandra. You can use data stacks, right? To just get an experience with working on this in the production environment, right? And you should try to see that how the specific vector databases work, right? Once you're able to understand the specific vector databases, then understand developing any application that will be related to text, you'll be able to convert those text into some vectors. And how you can basically convert it, there are different libraries which already Hugging Face, OpenAI, they already provide you, right? So you can use this all functionalities and important things. Vector databases is super important in this specific framework. Now, with respect to task, right, projects, please try to understand how to create projects, right, using LLM models. Use vector databases like Pinecone, use techniques or frameworks like LangChain, right, LlamaIndex. See how you can use specific agent tool, see how you can use databases, see how you can actually do the deployments, each and everything, right? So you need to create many projects as possible. Once you create many projects as possible, tomorrow, whenever you go in any specific industry, you will have multiple options to implement all these things, right? So this is super important. And one of the very important tasks, very important task, and they may specifically ask you in the interview, is regarding fine-tuning of your data. Fine-tuning with your custom data using LLMs. This may be the very important thing. Trust me, I've written 4-star over here. But this is the most important thing, is nothing but fine-tuning with your custom data. And you should know each and every techniques over here. Let's say if you're specifically using OpenAI models, you should know that. If you're using Llama 2, you should know that. If you're using any other services, you should know that, right? Through that way, tomorrow, whenever you have a use cases where you really need to work with fine-tuning, then this will definitely help a lot. Okay. So in short, I've given you the entire skill sets, and this is what I have done. I've created 3 amazing playlists. One is with respect to OpenAI, one is with respect to LangChain. I've covered topics with respect to OpenAI, LangChain, and solved multiple use cases using different models like Google Gemini. Then you also have Llama 2, right? I have actually covered all these things, right? So all those playlists will be given in the description of the specific video, right? Go ahead and enjoy that video. Go ahead and check it out if you're serious about it. Definitely. Everything is available. I've provided that in the playlist. All you need to do is that go ahead and learn things. Now let's go with respect to the prerequisite. This prerequisite I've given the entire things you need to learn before probably starting these all things, right? If you already know that, it is very good. So here I'll be showing a roadmap, which I have already shared earlier in my videos, roadmap to become a generative AI. So let's go ahead and see the roadmap, what all things you should need to learn. So guys, just a month back, I had already created this entire roadmap to become generative AI. So these are the prerequisites that you really need to focus on. And again, all the videos materials is given over here. One is Python programming language, then basics of machine learning and natural language processing, why NLP, this is there. Basics of deep learning, right? How you should basically know that how ANN works, forward propagation, backward propagation, optimizers, activation function, advanced NLP concepts like RNN, LSTM, RNN, GRUNN, bi-directional LSTM, RNN and all. So these are some of the prerequisites. You can probably see transformers is also written over here. All the video links are basically given over here. You can go ahead and check it out. So once you probably go through this and then you start developing more projects as possible as you can, the more you practice, the more scenarios you definitely see, the more you better you become in the generative AI field. So yes, this was it from my side. I hope you like this particular video. I'll see you all in the next video. Have a great day. Thank you and all. Take care. Bye-bye.